Game has started, and I'm watching the Chiefs and Ravens currently, but I want to shout out a couple things. Seiko Varner over at Positive Vibes. He can help so many things financially for you. The social media and YouTube help, which of course I have used his help creating many of my channels and getting experience hosting shows with him. Co-creator and the leader of the Battle Cats too, with the community action team. So hit him up at Positive Vibes DJS@gmail.com. Charlie Roy at Southern Volkswagen in Chesapeake. He's the one to secure you a quality car in Hampton Roads at a good price. Southern Volkswagen in Chesapeake and Charlie Roy. Of course, have yourself a great dinner with Ellen's Homestyle and Barbecue. Her food is great and she's greater. Her restaurants are at Portsmouth Boulevard in Portsmouth, and Indian River Road at Regent in Virginia Beach. I can't forget my awesome wife. I love her. She designed this channel and keeps me up when I let myself slip. And I can only hope to do the same for her as well as she does for me. So on for a brief topic, and that's immigration. Think back to 2018, all those 5 years ago, and going out to the local protest of Donald Trump's border policies. They were harsh, weren't they? You remember the kids in cages? Those policies came from his heart, if you could call it that, heart. The policies and rhetoric seemed gruesome enough to me, but Trump spoke on immigration when he ran, specifically very troubling language about immigrants themselves, and policies from a wall on down that would be designed to shut the border, shut it down completely, pretty much. His policies would stand true to his, what I would view, inhumane view of the situation. He called for mass deportation. He called the RAISE Act, something not made into law but supported by Trump, sought to reduce legal immigration, like having from 1 down to 50% green card issuance, and that became enforceable with COVID executive orders. He wanted to cap refugee immigration at 50,000 a year in the visa lottery, switching employment-based immigration to a point system. The family separation was the utmost galling thing, visually and gut-wrenchingly bad, but in that vein, you saw Trump Republicans in real time propose what they felt in their hearts, and they sought it out. And in a sense, they were authentic. It is a far and sad distance away from when folks like Ronald Reagan were verbalizing open borders to the public as his preferred policy, but modern Republicans are who we thought they were. Shout out to the great coach Dennis Green. The Chiefs just scored a touchdown, by the way. They were nativist, overly white. About 85% of Republican voters are white. Their rhetoric and policy follow a conservative, fear-based treatment of the others who themselves are seeking out the United States. Mind you, they do this while waving U.S. flags, saying the U.S. is the greatest country currently and ever, that other nations are bad. Trump would literally say shithole countries. And they say all the while trying their absolute damnedest to exclude the country from black and brown people who were intrigued by the same alleged ideal about the United States. When I view solid immigration policy from the U.S. toward immigrants, I thusly exclude the Republican consideration because they've shown their hand, and it's an evil hand. Libertarians had a more open and humane policy, effectively open borders and free movement of human beings without any call for something like ICE. However, something broke with the libertarians when Trump came around. The Mises Caucus's folks got really white nativist, took over the party, and boom, suddenly the Libertarian Party isn't supporting free human movement anymore. So they're gone. And in the interim, we saw the big Democrat groundswell against Trump was speaking on and what he was doing with policy. So in 2018, then Senator Kamala Harris joined protesters in San Diego and salts with signs and words saying, abolish ICE, keep families together, immigrants make America great, and free the kids. What were her words? Trump's immigration policies were a human rights abuse. She added, I spoke with the mothers who were there, and my heart is broken. These mothers in there think that they are alone, and we need to remind them and everyone else that they are not alone and that we stand with them. Is that the Democrat policy for immigrants? Biden ran in 2020 on stopping border wall construction and loosening some restrictions Trump did. Here's a direct Biden quote. There will not be another foot of wall constructed on my administration. Number one. And guess what? Joe Biden scuttled hits number one policy as recent as October 23 when the Biden administration announced it waived federal laws, about 26 of them, to permit more border wall construction in southern Texas. This was done due to pressure from fellow Democrats, per the NBC article that I read. And you may ask, Democrats put pressure to do that? Why did the same Joe Biden administration, Democrat that it is, defend Trump-era immigration policy and family separation in court? I remember the senator in 2018 standing with mothers and abolished ICE protesters about the harsh treatment of immigrants in the Trump administration. The one saying Democrats are standing with them. She's vice president now, and in June 2021, she decided to flip her script, telling immigrants trying to go northward into the United States that they'd be stopped at the border and turned back. On TV, verbally, she said, "Do not come. Do not come. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure its borders." She offered a rather paltry, "We'll work together to find solutions to long-standing problems." Long-standing problems are U.S. international policies in the Western Hemisphere which contribute to poorer and more violent conditions, wherein immigrants try to get here to a safer and more economically viable situation. Long-standing problems include a Republican Party who want absolutely no part of trying to allow these folks here at all. So Democrats will work with them, meaning bending policy to be suitable to Republicans. Here I am reminded of the Biden administration's Border Patrol agents chasing Haitian immigrants down on horseback with whips, imagery only different from 1800 slave patrols in the fact that they were in t-shirts and cell phones were there and they were wearing cowboy hats. While that is something Republicans would cheer and Democrats would lambast, in reality, Democrats were the party in authority at the time and acted as if they couldn't control it. This, "hey, it's not me" shit is a disservice to immigrants who first thought the U.S. was a place worth going to, and on second thought, Democrats were humanely useful for them on that goal. In reality, they were effectively indifferent to the whole violent, well-funded, bipartisan system. And you ask for an example of systemic racism, and I give you multiple presidential terms of U.S. border policy. Now, assuming that the Democrat Party is one, the good guys, and two, worth voting for over the Republican Party, I ask, where is the Democrat discipline on this matter? Do they want to do anything satisfactory from policy to bill to law? Or do Democrats not have a full-throated immigration stance beyond that of a bumper sticker? Because yesterday, Saturday, January 27th, I'm reading President Joe Biden on Friday urged Congress to pass a bipartisan bill on this issue, saying he would shut down the border the day the bill became law. Bipartisan. Why even seek that when we have eliminated the Republican Party from good conscience here? Joe Biden said it would be the toughest and the fairest. And if it's fair, why is it tough? Why are you, Democrat president, saying tough to begin with? If you want tough, vote for Donald Trump because he is full-throatedly calling for tough. And I don't want tough. I want humane and easy. And the Democrats said 2021, 2022, 2023, and they have this year to reverse that wretched plan. Ended fighting for the same in court, telling people not to come, allowing more wall to be built, and working with Republicans on tough shutdowns. That's bothersome to me. And the most political thing of this is Republicans are calling what Joe Biden has done open borders. Here I am running for Congress in Virginia's 2nd District, and the current representative there is Republican Jen Kickens. Well, I've met her personally a couple of times, and we know each other, pleasantly discussing things like long-distance running. She's wrong on saying Joe Biden even has the rhetoric of open borders because the whole administration clearly doesn't. Congresswoman Kickens' stated policy goal is to secure the border and make sure Border Patrol and immigration officials are fully funded, whatever that means. And she'll seek to make you believe people stepping foot in the United States who aren't citizens are, boom, some sort of full-on criminal, and forgets immigration Forgets Republicans like her are trying to make the regulated way of getting citizenship or even residence at all even harder. So there's no legal immigration with Republicans like her. Plus, she's calling on defending the call for the funding of sanctuary cities, the localities which have been welcoming to Central and South American immigrants, as opposed to harsh states like Florida and Texas. So doing so has in some ways hurt Democrat support from black voters in cities like Chicago, where officials' methods of helping immigrants out with financial services and living arrangements spur many folks who have lived there for generations. Those citizens remain as poor as those immigrants would be, a separate indictment on our economic system when crossed with other racial issues going back centuries, and the lack of equal support for them is causing enough consternation in the polls to see black support of Biden drop from the mid 80s closer to the mid 60s. As I would turn it right around on someone like Higgins by contending if they want to defund sanctuary cities, we should defund the state of Texas for starting a ruckus with the United States Border Agency, barbed wire there, and allowing 3 immigrants to drown in the Rio Grande over this. As I write this, as I speak it, I was checking Missy Carter Smalls' website for her listing of the immigration situation, and I didn't see it. So, folks, we need better. We need Democrat discipline. And the local Democrat candidate, Smalls, and even the incumbent Democrat president has zero discipline on this issue and are effectively just not Republican. I'm running for the 2nd District now, collecting signatures to that fact. Got a few today, in fact. Starting a campaign fund, looking to bring in staff. I'm a Democrat in spirit, but won't be the disappointing version of Democrat in practice. See, the president and our current Democrat candidate for Congress are seeing to it that shrugging is the best medicine, and I don't want to shrug. So the Chiefs and Ravens are playing right now. Chiefs are up 7-0, and I'm hoping Mahomes and the Chiefs win because I dislike Tom Brady enough to want his records to be gone as soon as possible. Mahomes can do that on both the Super Bowl and yards and touchdowns fronts. And I have great respect for Lamar Jackson, though my rooting for the Chiefs doesn't mean I don't think the Ravens can win, because I do think they can. Their team is overall better. They're at home. It's been a great season for them. I fully expected they could win. I just want the Chiefs to. I'm also rooting for the Detroit Lions tonight over the 49ers. I like the idea of the Lions being good. And Barry Sanders is the co-captain tonight. So definitely go Lions. But also, and importantly as well, remember to subscribe to Shez Who here on YouTube and like the show and comment. Keep the conversations going and go Conrad for Congress.